Okay. So assume if one person can hear me, you can hear what I'm, and I'll just bring up a little video of myself here. So hello everyone. I just want to thank you for being. Technology is always a challenge at times. These things um, they do exactly the opposite of what you want them to do. But I'm just glad that you can now hear me. My name is Confidence, and I just want to welcome you to this webinar. And just let me know where you're from. I'd really appreciate. And as more people are getting in, I hope in the mean moment, you can just subscribe on the little button of our YouTube. It's still growing, a few subscribers, but hopefully by the end of year we would have achieved something. Yeah, so in just a moment I'll be starting with this presentation. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to just comment in the comment section. Just put all your questions in the comment section and I can. Okay. We are also live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and also on Periscope. That is also on Twitter. Okay. So starting this live. Okay. All right. So, hello everyone. This is Confidence, and hello again. I'm just happy live webinar, and just a little bit about myself. I come from a very small country that is in Africa. It's called Zimbabwe. And yeah, for all of you that have never been to Zimbabwe, I hope definitely one day you will visit. Actually, you should visit Africa because there is a lot to see here. And I hope after this whole pandemic, the COVID-19, you can get some time to visit Africa. It is a land to be for, once or twice in your life. And it is also some time to get to bond with Mother Nature. And yeah, because we're going to be talking about blockchain and smart contracts, just a brief also on how I got involved with cryptocurrencies. That was back in 2015 when I got introduced to Bitcoin by somebody in South Africa. South Africa is a neighboring country with Zimbabwe, and we kind of started using Bitcoin together. But anyway, we were using it for the wrong reasons, which was basically scams, right? So I can just safely say I got introduced to Bitcoin through a scam. And obviously I lost a little bit of some money through that. And fast forward to 2016, I had some holdings. I had a few Bitcoins with me, and the price went up at one time, and I didn't really understand Bitcoin. I just thought it's a quick way to make money, and it's gonna end very soon. So I bought a little bit of some Bitcoin in 2016. The price went up, and in a few months it came down. And because I didn't really understand what was happening. I ended up selling all of those Bitcoins, and only to discover a few months later that the price had gone twice as much as I had sold them for. And it's something that I was really disappointed in myself, and it led me to start researching more about what Bitcoin is and everything. So that's how I got into cryptocurrencies. And fast forward to 2018, that's when I met one of the representatives of XinFin, which is Akash. He came in, he told me about XinFin, and then I started researching about what XinFin does, and it was really interesting to me, although for the first time I didn't really understand what these guys were developing. So that has been my history with XinFin, and now I am their representative in Africa. And I have done a lot of meetups for XinFin over the past years, and it's been an interesting journey. And yeah, here we are today. We're doing a XinFin live webinar, and I just hope that you enjoy it. And if you have any questions, again, just let me know in the comment section. And yeah, with that, let's get started. So, like I said, my name is Confidence, and I am part of the XinFin team. So, for us to understand what we're talking about, it's very important that we know what XinFin is, and why you should know about XinFin, or why you should get involved in the community of XinFin. So XinFin is a hybrid blockchain technology company, and I'm sure you've heard about blockchains, different blockchains. If you've never experienced what a blockchain is or know what a blockchain is, don't worry, I can always take you through it later. But XinFin is, like I said, a hybrid blockchain technology that is focused on international trade and finance. So there are a lot of blockchains that you get to know if you are to dive deep into what blockchains are. You get to understand that blockchains like the Ethereum blockchain, the Bitcoin blockchain, and a lot. There's like more than 100 blockchains that you actually get to know about, and each and every one of them perform different functions, right? And also, as you shall see in a few slides, there are different types of blockchains, right? And XinFin uses this special type of a blockchain that is called a hybrid blockchain. And basically, it is trying to solve some inefficiencies in global trading and financing. And that you will hear about, they try to solve as much as they can different types of problems, right? So with XinFin, as I have seen, a lot of people, they ask when you tell them about XinFin or about XDC, the XDC protocol, they will ask you that I know about Ethereum. So what's the difference between this XDC protocol and Ethereum, right? And then I always explain to them that Ethereum has its own things that it does, right? It has its own functionalities, because all the blockchains are all about functionalities. And some blockchains can do one thing, or they can do several things, and they cannot do other things, right? Just like the Ethereum blockchain can do some stuff, but cannot do some stuff used to do one thing, but at the other end, it cannot be used to do something else. Okay, so um, with this technology from XinFin, which is a company, right? So you shouldn't confuse that. XinFin is a company, and it has developed a blockchain, which is a hybrid blockchain called XDC. So before we dive deep into what XinFin does, actually, I thought it might be it might be very important that you learn about the different types of blockchains that exist, right? So that you can see the difference and why XinFin does what it is doing, right? So the first type of blockchain which came into existence, a public blockchain, right? Also known as a permissionless blockchain. It's just basically to participate in it. So there is, you can, with a public blockchain, it does not limit anyone as long as you have some resources, right? And you don't, and you do not have some limited resources, you can always make use of a public blockchain, or you can contribute in a way that you can afford to do, right? So I can give you an example of Bitcoin, right, which started in 2009. Bitcoin basically, uh, anyone can participate in the blockchain of Bitcoin, right? And you can participate in different ways. So there are miners, there are people who are called, that host what are called nodes, right? So if you're a miner, you do get an incentive, right, for processing transaction and also helping to verify transaction in the Bitcoin blockchain. And that's why it's public, and those incentives make the blockchain survive for a very long time, because naturally people are looking for a way to make money, but in the same manner that you're making money, you are also helping to maintain a certain blockchain. Other examples are Ethereum that I was just talking about, right? So the Ethereum blockchain uses a token that is called Ether, and that is basically what Ethereum does. Ethereum is also a one application, so you can use the Ethereum blockchain to host your own applications, right? So if you're just willing to participate in a public blockchain, you can always do that, and nobody will ask questions as long as you have the resources. And let's move on to private blockchains. So with private blockchain, as the name suggests, this is a blockchain which is private, right? No one actually has access, like it's not available to the public, right? It's available to a number of people who have been given access by whoever is administering that blockchain. So that is what a private blockchain is. And it is also called the permission blockchain, which is permissionless. So for you to be able to use a private blockchain, then the first thing that you need is to get permission from the administrator of that blockchain. Okay, so it also differs with the public blockchain is in that normally with public blockchain, with public blockchains, you always see people talking about immutability. So like you cannot go back in a public blockchain and try to edit what has been done, or try to delete any transactions, right? So let's say with Bitcoin, if I make a transaction to John, and John receives that Bitcoin, right? That transaction has been done. It cannot be deleted from the blockchain, right? So that is what we mean by immutability. So this is different with a private blockchain in that with a private blockchain, they're normally used by companies that want to manage their own stuff without involving the public, right? And an example is what is called the quorum that was created by JP Morgan's, and I'm sure most of you know JP Morgan's. There's another one that is called Hyperledger, I believe created by an organization called R3, if I am correct. So these are the differences. So normally corporations or big companies would tend to want to use private blockchains because they have some information that they don't want to get into the platform. Okay, right. And now we move on to hybrid blockchains, right? So we've talked about a private blockchain and we've talked about a public blockchain. Now imagine having two of those blockchains coming together, right, to make one blockchain, right? The best of those two worlds coming together to make that blockchain, right? That is what makes what is called a hybrid blockchain. Okay, so what it means when you're using a hybrid blockchain is you are controlling access. There is a little bit of some control on the access, just like on the private blockchain, but there's also freedom at the same time. Um, and the other thing about hybrid blockchains is they are not open to everyone, but still offers blockchain features such as integrity, transparency, and security. Just as we have seen just as you see in public blockchains, that there is a lot of integrity, transparency, and security that has to be put into consideration, right? Hybrid blockchains are customizable. Members can decide who can take part in the blockchain or which transactions are made public, right? So as you can see, this can be a really big advantage to companies that would want to like engage with their stakeholders or their customers, at the same time protecting their information they don't want to go into the public, right? So there is a huge advantage rather than just using a private blockchain where you have closed off access to anyone that you don't want to participate in that blockchain. Okay, so an example of a hybrid blockchain is XDC by XinFin, that was created by XinFin, right? Which is why we are definitely here to talk about it. Okay. And don't forget, if you miss out on anything or you want to understand something, just type in the comment section and I can get to explain what I'll be talking about. Okay, so let's move on to talking about the benefits of a hybrid blockchain. All right, so the first thing is a hybrid blockchain works in a closed system. So, like I was explaining, that there is no need to worry about information leaking, but at the same time, you're still engaging with your stakeholders, with age publicly. But then you have a closed system where information cannot just leak into the public domain. Okay, so number two, changes you can changes can be made when you're using the hybrid blockchain. But I need you to understand here that when you're talking about changing of the rules, we are not talking about editing what has been done before, right? So just like any other company, uh, if you can give an example of, say, Apple, right? They thrive on change because of the time they don't want to have a situation like what should we call it, like what happened to Nokia, right, where they ended up being a company that is no longer making any profit. So each and every time companies thrive to change so that they can keep on with what's happening in the world. So it does allow you to change the rules, but it doesn't mean that you are changing what has been done before, if you understand what I'm trying to talk about. And number three, if you've heard or read a lot about Bitcoin, you might have heard about what are called 51% attacks. So basically, what a 51% attack is, Let me just try to move this. Just a moment. Yeah, I'm trying to move my video over to the top so that you can see all the tags here. Okay, so if you've heard about 51% attacks, right? It is a situation where you have somebody who has bad intentions on a blockchain. Is they will use more power than the total number of power that is in a network to try and manipulate transactions and blocks that have already been mined in the network, right? Or that have already been created in the network, right? So it's one of those things that mostly blockchains, public blockchains, actually try to avoid by all means, because if somebody performs a 51% attack, then that means that the whole blockchain is going to be compromised, right? So it's very, very important that you have a blockchain that is not prone to being attacked, right? Or what do we call the 51% attack? Okay, so with a hybrid blockchain like the XinFin blockchain, you are guaranteed that you have a blockchain that cannot be attacked. Okay. Then number four, you're protecting privacy while still communicating with the outer world. And I have explained that very clearly, that you can still engage as a company or as an organization with people, but still keeping your privacy. Okay, and the last one but not the least is low transaction cost. As I will demonstrate also, you come to discover that because of the few nodes that needs to be verified within a hybrid blockchain, the transaction costs are very, very low. It costs close to nothing to send a transaction using a blockchain like this XinFin one. Okay, so you might be wondering that, okay, then, okay, fine. What can we use this XinFin blockchain to do? So the first thing is banking, right? For instance, there's need to solve problems internally and also use secure information, user information, right? And also secure user information, I mean, right? So this is a perfect solution for banking, right? So banking systems right now are very, very inefficient. They are very prone to being attacked. They're very prone to being hacked. I'm sure we have heard about a lot of money heist that have been performed on banks, and a lot of money heist that have been performed in different types of countries. This just shows how banks have a lot of leakages or points of weaknesses that can lead them to lose a very, very huge amount of money. Okay, we move on to supply chain, right? So supply chain, if they want to use a public blockchain or a private blockchain, they cannot do that, right? Because at the same time, they want to get some information to be public. They also want to make certain type of information or data or whatever to be private, right? So the best solution for any supply chain network would be to use a hybrid blockchain. Okay. Governments can use a hybrid blockchain like the XinFin XDC hybrid blockchain for voting purposes, public IDs, and also recording very complex data. Okay, and I'm sure we all know, or maybe we've experienced at time some problems with the aviation or your flight, and things that they can be solved in a way. This is another perfect application of the XinFin XDC hybrid blockchain. Okay, so another question then will be, why should I use the XDC blockchain, right? So just to point out a few issues or a few advantages that you can get from the XDC network is number one, interruption. It's interruption free, right? So there can be, I'm sure you've seen at times certain applications or certain services that you'll be trying to use, and then you're told that you cannot use them right now on time, or they're experiencing problems from the servers. This is one thing that you can then use the uh, hybrid blockchain of the XDC network to, to your advantage. And the other thing is it's very secure. It is very fast in performance, and you can guarantee yourself that all the profits that you make as a business will come to you. The reason why is there is no middleman that is involved if you use these smart contracts. Okay, and yeah, that basically brings us to deploying our first smart contract. So you might be a developer, you're trying to be a developer. There is a language that is called Solidity that is used to write these smart contracts, and in a way you can learn how to do it. It's a fast changing technology, and I'm just gonna guide you through launching or deploying your first smart contract using very simple code written in Solidity. Okay, so the first thing that you would need to do, let me just try to change my screen here, is to go to XinFin's website. Okay, they must come up in a moment. Okay. Okay, so if you go to the website, let me just try to minimize this, exit this. Okay, this is the XinFin website. Okay. Okay, there's quite a lot of stuff to read on the website, as you can see here. It even has this comparison where it compares these different types of blockchains. So there's the Bitcoin here, there's Ethereum, and the XinFin XDC. Okay, so here it says transactions per second, the number of transactions that Bitcoin can do per second. So with Bitcoin, it can only do 3 transactions per second. With Ethereum, 12 transactions per second. And with XDC, it's 2000 plus transactions per second. If we go to the fees, right now Bitcoin has some of the highest fees. Right now, if you're sending Bitcoin and if you don't pay a huge amount of what do you call it? If you don't pay a huge amount of in fees, it will take a very short time for your transaction to be processed. Right. So the transaction fees here for Bitcoin on average is 20 cents. On average for Ethereum is 13 cents, and XDC that's 0.0001 dollars, right? Then time it takes for your transactions to be confirmed, 10 to 60 minutes, or maybe days, like what's happening right now. Bitcoin is taking days for you to be sent, or for you to be verified. Should we say to be confirmed? With Ethereum, it's 10 to 20 seconds, and with the XDC, it's 2 seconds. Okay, so for us to deploy our for us to deploy our smart contracts, the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna come to quick tool guide. So just to the right of your browser, the upper corner, you see quick tool guide, right? And then you see a lot of resources that you can make use of, things that you can make use of. So the first thing that we would need to download then is this XinPay, this XinPay MetaTask wallet. I'm going to show you if you can see it now. Okay. So if you come here and just click on download, it will open up a new tab, and you can just edit. So here you cannot see, you can see it saying remove because I have installed it already. But if you have not installed it, then you have to Chrome or to Brave, as it say here, depending on the type of browser that you're using. I use the Brave browser, but I recommend you to use the Chrome browser if you want to go through this process, right? And once you're done with that, the next thing, it will automatically install for you this this wallet that you can access from your browser. So you just have to click on the right corner of your browser here, and it will show you this little drop down, and it will show you how much you have in your wallet. And also you can go on the testnet. It will ask you to, okay, it's me to reload, but if you open again, it's showing me that on the testnet I have 1,999 XDC tokens. And yeah, basically that is what this wallet is. So just go on the website, click on XinPay download, and then it can download for you that wallet. And when you're done, just make sure after it has installed, you just make sure that you set up a password that you can remember, something that you will not forget, definitely. So make sure you do that. It just requires a password. So create that password, and then you're done. You can access your wallet. Now, if you want to fund your wallet with some XDC, just click on the wallet and make sure that you click on the copy. You see your address here, because you definitely need an address. So what you need to do is just to click on copy here, and then you can go and paste it where I'll show you in a moment. So make sure also that you have this option selected, XinFin testnet, and then go ahead and click, right? So we just want to add some funds here, and I'll show you in a moment how you can do it. Okay, so if you wanna add some funds in there, the next thing that you wanna do is go to the faucet so that you can load up some of these XDC. So with this faucet, you can only use this for the test network, right? This only works on the test network, right? That is if you want to deploy your smart contract, okay? And the reason why you need this XDC is because, well, basically when you are deploying a smart contract, it's very important, right, that you have these XDCs, because your smart contract will require them every time you're trying to do a transaction. And by transaction, what I mean is, if you try to call a function in your smart contract, let's say you call a function to say make or pay this uh, for a bar of chocolate, then you will need that. Okay, that XDC. So all you want to come and do here is come and paste your address here and say get XDC. So it will send about 1000 XDCs to your wallet, and this takes on average 20 seconds for it to come to your wallet. Okay, so we will go ahead and check our wallet now. And as you can see, I had 1000 XDCs, I had 1999 XDCs, and now I have 2000 in total. Okay, 2999, which is about 3000 anyway, right? So one thing that you should know is you don't need to be greedy about this, because this is just used on this XinFin testnet. There's no need to load up your wallet with 1,000 of these or with millions of these XDCs, because you can never use them anyway. It's just money that you will use on the test network to test your smart contracts. Okay. So the next thing that you want to do, now that you have some money in your network, in your wallet, sorry, is go up and open the remix. So I'll just go ahead and type in again this. So XinFin has its own remix IDE where you can develop your smart contracts. So that thing, and you can just use this to develop your smart contracts, and when you're done, you can deploy, you can test it, and after you're done, you can go ahead and launch it on the live net. Okay, so I'll go ahead and change my wallet to go into the mainnet. I almost coded the live net. Okay, so if you have questions, again, just let me know in the comment section. If you have anywhere where you have where you didn't understand. If you did understand, just let me know in the comment section. Okay, so it seems like there's nobody with any questions. So I'll go ahead and just a moment. Okay, so let's continue on with the webinar. So what we're gonna do is very simple. Let me just close all these windows. I was just trying to engage in the comment sections. I don't know what I clicked on. All right, so we're gonna start with a very simple smart contract, right? That just gets a value, and then it will tell you what that value is. Okay, it's very simple smart contract. So I have posted this sample codes. I'll just show you two smart contracts. So this is a very simple one, and everyone can just simply understand what it is. So make sure you can go and check it out on my um, GitHub page. I'll also copy and paste a link in the comment section so that you can also follow through if you want to, or you want to do it later. You can just pull the code from my GitHub account, and you can make use of it at any time. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is go to Remix. So if you go to my GitHub page, you'll see this code that is written my contract.sol, right? The .sol stands for Solidity, which is the technology that we use to make these smart contracts. So here we have a function that is requesting for a value, and we have a function that sets for a value. So the next thing that we want to do here is compile our smart contract. So if you click on this button, the next thing that you want to do is click on compile my smart contract.sol. Okay, then if you see this green tick, that means that your program compiled successfully without any errors. Then the next thing that we want to do is go ahead and deploy our smart contract. And it is very important that you also select which type of environment that you want to use. So for now, I want to use the injected Web3. And then here, it will ask me the account where my XDC is, or where my money is that I want to use to pay for anything that I want to do, or everything that I want to perform with this smart contract. Okay, so this address is from this wallet, and that's where it will take the money. Okay, after we have done a successful transaction. Then the gas limit is the amount that I pay for this transaction. So whatever that you use in a smart contract to pay is what is termed gas. You'll see it's the same also with Ethereum. The transaction fees is also is called gas in Ethereum. Okay, then here you just mention what you want to deploy, which is my contract.sol, which stands for Solidity, as I have mentioned before. So let's go ahead and deploy our smart contract. Okay, as you can see, I'll just try to bring the XinPay wallet. Okay, so after you have done this, it's now showing me that I need to pay this amount of gas, right? And the price right now is this one. So it's telling me that the maximum transaction fee is this 0.0000114 XDC, right? Then I have 3 buttons that are saying reset, submit, or reject. Okay, so the next thing is I'm gonna click on submit because I want this transaction to go through. So I'll click on submit, and it will go ahead. And if you can see from the top here, I just removed my video. It will tell you that the transaction has gone through and it has been confirmed successfully. So yeah, that's the next thing that you would want to do to check if the transaction has gone through. Don't mind the little bit of noise that is coming from the background. It's a young one that is trying to he's calling me right now. He does not understand that I'm on a live webinar. So the next thing that we want to do here is to check if our transaction has gone through. So I'm just going to drag here to see what this is going to bring up. So after this, you see the status. So with this green tick is telling me that the smart contract was deployed successfully. The number of transactions that have been recorded here are these ones. Okay. So if you copy this hash value, which is the ID of the transaction, right? So every time you perform a transaction in, or you do or deploy a smart contract, right, in the remix, the next thing is it's gonna be handled as a transaction. So everything that happens with a smart contract is handled as a transaction. And for every function that you call, except if you're just checking the status, it's gonna be charged, right? So let's just see what our function here can do. So we're gonna click on deployed contracts here, and we're gonna set a value like 2 and click on set value. Okay, so as you can see again, let me just bring the XinPay again. It has asked me again for me to pay again, and I'm gonna do the same process again because this is a transaction, remember? So I'm gonna click on submit again. All right, and it goes ahead. Let me remove that. Okay, then the transaction has been confirmed. As you can see, it is saying here, transaction has been confirmed. That's wonderful, right? So that means that our smart contract is working. So we're gonna click on, right? So the value that we have put in, the 2 is here, right? Do not worry about this uint 256. It's just a type of a variable that you will find in the Solidity environment, right? So, but it is giving us the type of the value that we have, that it is an integer, and the integer is 2. Okay, so that's it. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close this smart contract, and we're gonna do it with the last example. But I just saw a question here. So he's saying if you use this code that you use to deploy if you use this code that you used and deploy it in XinFin mainnet, can we verify the contract source later? I bet what you're trying to say, the contract source. Yes, you will get all the information of the contract. Like if you just use this hash of the transaction, right? So the first hash of the transaction is what you use to get all the information. It will tell you where it came from and where it was going, the amount of gas that was paid, the transaction cost, and the input that was like you can see also here, when I did set a value, the 2 that I set and the 2 that I also got from the contract, everything you get all the number of transactions that have been done by that contract, and also you get all the information of the amount of gas that is being consumed by that transaction. So I'll go ahead and click on another contract, the election. I hope I answered your question correctly. All right, so this is a smart contract for an election. before I go ahead, let me just go and delete these transactions that we've done already. All right, so this is a smart contract for an election, which basically keeps track of when somebody has been voted for, a candidate. Say we have 3 candidates in an election, and candidate 1 gets a vote. It just increments the vote, or the number of votes that candidate 1 or candidate 2 has got. So this is basically what our smart contract will do, right? So we're gonna go through the same process to deploy it again. Okay, so compile first our smart contract, and then the next thing, if you see this green thing, it's just telling us that kudos, your smart contract is running without any error. And the next thing that you want to do is go and deploy your transaction. So also make sure that your environment is still selected here, which says injected web3, and make sure the account is correct that you're going to be taking the XDC to pay for the transaction, or when you deploy your smart contract. And then we're going to go ahead, and I'll just clear out this. Then the next thing is we're going to deploy our election. And again, I'll bring up, this says submit the transaction. So since we agree here, what we're going to do is submit it. Close this page, come back to our contract, and as you can see, it was saying creation of election is pending. Then the next line says it was successful. Okay, so just like the previous smart contract, my contract is the same thing. You get a hash value that you can use to check on this explorer, to check if your transaction went through. So the next thing that you want to do is, then the contract is doing what you want to do. So let's set candidate number 1 first, and let's see what's gonna happen. Right, call to election.candidates. So candidate number 1 and this is candidate number 1, and it is telling that the vote count is 0. So this candidate does not have any votes at the moment. So the next thing that we want to do is go ahead and vote for this candidate. So 1 person, 1 vote. So I'm just voting right now. So I'll go ahead and cast my vote. Right, so as expected, it's gonna request for me to pay for the transaction. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that again. And as you can see, the amount is different from what we have got in the previous contract. So each and every transaction has a different value, or it demands different type, or a different amount, sorry for that, a different amount of XDC, or an amount to be paid for the smart contract. Then the next thing you want to do is click on submit. Right, and we just close that. It will tell us again that our transaction has been confirmed. Okay, so that's it. If we go back to candidate and request information about that candidate, as I am doing right now, just a moment. I'll just go back and clear this, then request information about candidate. So it will tell us that his ID is 1, as we had seen again. Candidate number 1, number of votes that have been counted is 1, right? So this is a perfect example of a smart contract that you can use for creating a voting system. And the good thing is that everything that is being done here is being recorded in the blockchain. So once a transaction has gone through and some XDC has been spent, you cannot go back and try to delete that transaction, right? Or try to add a transaction or 50 transaction at the same time, because it will need to verify. And if somebody adds any transaction, let's say, in a way, the blockchain will pick that up, and that will not be added as a vote. So as long as whoever is administering this blockchain and the smart contract is the one who's recording the number of votes that have been put through, or this whole smart contract is, it can do all of these things by itself, right? Records a vote count, then nobody can come then to put their own vote. That is illegal. Like, the smart contract does everything for you using these transactions, as you can see. Okay, so if you want to just go through the process that I was going through, just make sure that you make use of the small code that I have shared in with you in the presentation, and you can also check for it in the comment section. And if you didn't understand a part of what I was going through, make sure that you also make use of the blog that I have just pasted in the comment section. Just make use of that. It's just a follow through for everything that I was explaining in this live webinar. Okay, so back to comment section. You understand when you deploy it, then also you have to put in the contract. Here the question says, so I'm asking if doing all those steps using the contract code you provided will verify successfully the contract after you deploy it. Yes, it will verify successfully. So if you want to do everything that I have just done, it will not ask for anything that I have, right? What you just need is to download this XinPay. You definitely need this XinPay MetaTask wallet. And then make sure you load it up with some XDC that you're going to use to pay for those transactions. And then the next thing that you're going to need is to go on the faucet here, paste your address, and then get some XDC, and then that's it. There is nothing else that you need. So as long as you have that code, just go ahead on GitHub and pull it, make use of it, and you can modify it in any way. It doesn't matter. I was just using it for this tutorial so that you can understand how you can deploy a smart contract. Okay, basically. So just make sure you get that XDC, put your wallet here, get that XDC, and then you are done. Basically, that's all that you need to do. Thank you for that question anyway. So I'll just wait to get some questions. If you have any questions, please just type in the in the comment section, or if you have anything that you want to learn about XinFin in the future, so that we can make another live webinar for you guys, just let me know in the comment section. In just a moment. Right, so to make you understand also, I think I had skipped that, to make you understand what and how smart contracts work, right? I think I had skipped that slide by mistake. Okay, so whenever I'm asked a question about smart contracts, I always explain to people that when you want to think about smart contracts, just think of them as let's say a vending machine, right? If you've seen a vending machine, I think everybody has seen a vending machine before, probably in a movie, right? So those machines where you can put a small coin and it brings you whatever that you want to buy, or you put a coin, it gives you a cup of, a can of soda, or a drink, a Coke, something like that. I'm sure most of you have seen that. So think of it as a think of a smart contract as a vending machine, right? So a vending machine is it's like a vendor, but it's a vendor that you cannot negotiate with, right? You cannot go to you can go to a physical person if they are doing some vending, or they're selling some chocolates or something, or some sweets. If they tell you the price for um, one bar of chocolate or a small sweet is probably 50 cents, you can negotiate, right? Say, I have 25 cents, right? And then you can talk, you can go back and forth and say, nah, no, that's not enough. And then maybe they can accept and say, okay, I'll give you for less amount than what they had said before, right? Now, with a vending machine, you cannot negotiate, right? It has strict rules that it has to comply to, right? It enforces those rules. So if you go to the vending machine and it says, for you to get a bar of chocolate, you need to put in 10 cents, or let's say something that is, let's say $1, okay, or a quarter, right? And you put less amount than what is required, that chocolate will not come out, right? No matter how many times you're gonna try to, unless you vandalize the machine, of course. But anyway, um, but anyway, if the machine says that you get a bar of chocolate for 50 cents, right, and you put in 40 cents, you will not get that chocolate. It will not come out, right? But if you put, let's say, $1 when the chocolate is going for 50 cents, right, you will probably get some change. Exactly, right? Understand? Okay, so that is how a smart contract works. So it's just basically developed in a way that you will, it will enforce whatever the rules that it is supposed to do. Now imagine if this is applied to real estate, right? A smart contract. So what it is basically going to do is it's going to cut out the middleman. There's no more real estate agents that are gonna lie to you that they have a house that has been fully furnished, and then you get to that house, you see it has not been furnished. But without the agents, right, we have a smart contract between a buyer and somebody who wants to buy or purchase a house, right? So the smart contract gives conditions to the buyer, and if the buyer does not meet those conditions, the smart contract will not be executed. So let's say that the smart contract, after the buyer has successfully completed the transaction, right, they're supposed to get the key to the house, right? A digital key in a way that you can just go to the house and punch in, and then you have access to the house. if you do not meet those conditions, if you do not pay the amount in full, if the smart contract demanded that you pay in full, you will not get access to that key, right? So in a way, what this smart contract is doing is it's replacing all that work that will be done by a human being, right? And it enforces the negotiation and the performance of that smart contract. So if the buyer who's interested gets to access, wants to buy, and then all you have to do is tell them, okay, go to this application, and this application is what uh, uh, is being run. It has a smart contract running behind it, right? Then the smart contract is gonna request that there's need of 1, 2, 3 things, right? And then a payment. So this guy, the buyer, makes a payment, and the contract verifies that the payment was successfully verified. The money that was used in this case, which is XDC, right, is it has been verified to have been existing in the system. Then it will send the key to the buyer, and then it will also, the smart contract will also send the money to whoever was selling this house. So this once this transaction is done, the money has been moved, everything has been done, right? Everything can be tracked, and the wonderful thing is it cannot be reversed, it cannot be deleted. Nobody can just say, I want my money back, and then they'll just do it from their end, and then whoever was selling the house just wakes up the following morning and there's no money in their account. Once it is done, it is done. It is trackable, but it is not irreversible at the time, right? So back to the questions. Faucet is for the testnet. I am using the mainnet. I need XDC in my wallet, which I really do. Yeah, so if you want to use the mainnet, like I did in the example, you can just go on, just a moment. You can just go and get some XDC from the Alpha exchange. So XinFin. So if you go on the XinFin homepage, I'm sure you see a number of exchanges where you can get your XDC featured in download wallet. Okay, so you can also download the wallet to your phone. That is if you just want to buy some XDC and keep them, which is what we call what do you call it? Hodling in cryptocurrencies. Okay, so if you just want to get some cryptocurrencies to keep for yourself, you can download. We have a Google Android wallet that you can put on your phone and you can keep it with you. Okay, so just go ahead to the bottom of the xinfin.org page and go down, and you see this XDCE exchange list. It will just show you a new page, and if you want to buy XDC, you just have to go to just a moment. You just have to go to the Alpha exchange, if I'm so sure. Where is it? Okay. I'm failing to locate it in a moment. So just click on the Alpha X. Here it will open the exchange where you can exchange. So I'll just copy and paste it so that you don't go through the trouble that I went through to locate. So go ahead and make use of this exchange to buy some XDC. Do you have a personal Telegram page or email where I can reach you at, please? Yeah, sure. You can reach me on this Telegram, on my Telegram, my personal. But first of all, let me just share with you also XinFin's Telegram. In just a moment. Okay, so you can also join the community of XinFin using this Telegram channel, and you can reach me on my personal Telegram. Let me just try to copy the link also to my channel. It's not my channel, not so you can just reach me at Renegade. That's my Telegram personal account that you can reach me through. All right. It's been wonderful, guys. I hope you enjoyed this session, and I hope it was very helpful for all of you. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel. That would mean a lot to me if you subscribe to the channel. And I hope to see you in more webinars. And if you have any questions further from this webinar, just make sure you contact me on my Telegram and we can take it from there. Make sure you also follow XinFin on Twitter. Make sure you follow XinFin on Facebook. And make sure you join the community. You can join us on Discord. You can join us on Telegram and all those channels. And I've been Confidence, and this has been the XinFin live webinar. I want to thank you guys. Make sure you share this live webinar. Thank you very much.